Hey guys, good afternoon. It's Vinod from GrowWealth. Welcome to our weekly stock market analysis and watch list review. Hope you're all having a nice sunny weekend. Without further ado, let's now move on to the stock analysis. We'll start with the Nasdaq Index, and the broader market are looking quite similar to this stock, the other indices as well. So what it essentially shows is that it is still in the stage 4 downtrend on the weekly, as you can see here. That's the Nasdaq, this is NYSE, and the S&P 500, and this one is IWM, which is Russell 2000 ETF. On the daily, you could see that Nasdaq and S&P 500 are above the respective 21-day EMA, but below the 50-day EMA. And IWM is a little bit weaker on the weekly because it's below the 200-week moving average. But on the daily, pretty much identical to the other indices where the price is stuck between the 50-day EMA and 21-day EMA. So the take-home message from the broader market action is that it's still in the long-term bear market territory, stage 4 downtrend. But in the recent couple of weeks or so, it is trying to make a comeback, a little bit of bounce, maybe a bear market rally. We don't know that yet, but so far it is not given us a newer low in the last week or two, and that has also taken some pressure off the market where they've beaten down names, and some new leaders are also coming up, and we are covering many of them in our watch list now. As you can see on the screen here on the sector column, there's quite a lot of healthcare sector because they are the ones there that are showing good relative strength. And the first 6 names from HRMY to UTHR are at or close to the all-time high price. So Harmony Bioscience, it is a recent IPO, as you could see on the weekly here, and it has now broken out of that IPO top here, set here, and on a higher volume, the volume accumulation is coming up at the point of break high, which is really good. And after it broke out, it came and retested, found some support on Friday at the breakout pivot point level. So this is a good new IPO price action. Humana, the green line was the previous all-time high price, and that was broken out of the week before last, and the, last week it came and retested the 8-week moving average and pushed up above into the all-time high territory. IMXI, the all-time high price is at 22.86, but it is currently at the all-time high close at the current price of 22.48. And you could see in the screen a strong volume accumulation coming up from March onwards. And the MACD has also turned positive. So it's just a matter of time. It is kind of flirting with the all-time high price before it kind of breaks out above to new uncharted bullish territory. Eli Lilly, LLY, it is at the all-time high price, and some strong volume accumulation above average volume happening over the last many months. And using the key moving averages like the 21 and 8-week moving average as support is kind of nicely continuing its uptrend. That's a week and a half, 2 weeks of consolidation on the daily on low volume. So that may give us a new entry point if you're interested in this name. SAFM, all-time high price again the week before last, and last week is the doji candle, so on low volume. So people are kind of a little bit indecisive whether to book profit, whether it's worth kind of going further or not. But looking at the key moving averages, it's all aligned in the bullish trend. So this could be one for long term if it kind of bounces off this kind of mini consolidation level here on high volume coming up, if it were to come up the high volume. UTHR, again, another all-time high price, broke out of this previous all-time high at around $219 mark, came and retested, found support at that level, and continuing its uptrend on stronger volume accumulation as well, which is much more visible on the weekly chart here. AbbVie, another pharmaceutical company. This is in the stage 2 uptrend, came and retested, found support at 50-week moving average, EMA, and now pushed above the key moving averages. And taking a pause here for the last couple of weeks on lower than average volume, but on the daily, it's maintaining about the 50-day moving average, and the 21-day has now crossed up about the 50-day EMA, and the price is about the T line. So this is quite a constructive action. If it were to draw in more buyers and high volume and further up move, this will be a good one to watch. They also pay some dividend as well, I believe. AMN Healthcare Services, another medical technology services sector. On the weekly, you could say it's forming a cup here and maybe putting a handle, high volume coming up. There's been some high distribution volume as well on the weekly, but more recently, there's strong positive volume coming up on the right side of the base here. It broke out of the 200-day moving average and now consolidating about the 8 EMA level. ARQT, this has consolidated for quite some time here, and now it broke decisively on higher volume on the weekly and also quite strong volume coming up day after day or the last few days, and very decisively broke out into the possibly getting into the stage 2 uptrend from here. Bumble, BMBL, this was a beaten down IPO stock, and it is kind of setting up a stage 1, but high volume accumulation close coming up at the bottom of the base and on the right side of the base. So it is a good signal to have. On the daily, you could see this has just recovered its 200-day moving average right there, the dotted line, the descending dotted line. And it is just flirting at this horizontal line, which I believe is the interim pivot point, and breaking out of that horizontal line, which is currently at 34.45 level. And when it breaks out on volume and continues above that, that would probably be a start of its new stage 2 uptrend. So something to watch going forward. Celsius Holdings, CellHedge, it has been acting really strongly over the last few weeks, and it has been in strong uptrend after the coronavirus crash, but pulled back quite strongly when the growth stock got hit. Now it's set another base and broke out of that base last week. You could see that when the market has been giving us lower lows in the recent months, the stock has been giving us higher lows, and thereby showing some strong relative strength. It reclaimed that 200-day moving average here 4 days ago, and it has been very strong because there was volume momentum behind it, and it's continuing its uptrend since it broke out of that horizontal pivot point as well. The next one is COWN, Cowen Financial Services Capital Markets. So there was a strong gap up on last week on huge volume. You could see here on the first day of the trading, that's the 5th of July, because the 4th was bank holiday. On the 5th of July, it gained about 29%, hit the resistance at 200-day moving average, pulled back gently with some profit taking. And then on Friday, volume came up and closed above the 200-day moving average. So I don't know the news behind it, but the volume clues and the price action shows there's a newfound interest in the stock, and more upside is likely on this name. CRSP, CRISPR Therapeutics, strong relative strength since beginning of May onwards. Now it's reclaimed the 200-day moving average and also this pivot point here at $70.40 mark, but it is just sitting below the 200-week moving average and the 50 EMA on the weekly as well. So it'll be interesting to see how those two levels act, whether they provide much of a resistance or not. The volume clues are encouraging. So if the healthcare sector's uptrend is continuing, this stock is likely to break above those resistance level as well. So those levels are key levels to monitor. CTLT, sorry, this is Catalent, another healthcare sector, sitting just below the 200-day moving average. On the weekly, you can see it has reclaimed the 50-week moving average. It tried it once here, twice, thrice. So the 4th time it kind of closed above it. If the next week follows through above and didn't close below the 50-week moving average, that will be quite encouraging price action. DLTR, $3. strong whipsaw action here, and with the good earnings coming up, it reclaimed all of that kind of negative move the week before at the beginning of May. And since then, it's kind of gently consolidating using the 8 EMA and the 21-week EMA as support. And the price movement recently has been quite encouraging. There's the moving average confluence is here, and that acted as a strong support, using which the price is bouncing off of at the moment. And the strong price actions is also supported by good volume on those up move days. DQ, semiconductor equipment material. This is it's a huge cup base. It's on the right side of the base, and volume accumulation is happening on the right side of the base, which is encouraging. Okay. It's a little bit volatile for my liking, but if you zoom out and look at the weekly chart, it is a good price action. And as you can see, strong volume is coming up. So that is always a good thing to see. Duolingo, it's a relatively new IPO. It's forming the IPO cup base on the it's forming the right side of the base here, and strong volume is coming up on the right side, which is always encouraging. And I keep hearing about this stock with the local school teachers and students are also using this to learn other languages in their school. So it's used in real life, and I can see people having real positive feedback from a service using point of view as well. And the price has just gone up above the 200-day moving average. Fedex. This has flirted around the 200-day moving average, it broke out, but then it couldn't stay above it. It pulled back below that, but 50 EMA on the daily acted as support, and now it reclaimed the 200-day moving average as well, albeit on low volume. On the weekly, it is just sitting below the 50-week moving average. So I would want to, so that'll be a level to watch if that gets broken out of or not. Next one is Fnko Funko. The weekly chart will be even more beautiful. So it's a long, orderly cup formation here for over a year and a quarter or so. Now it's on the right side of the cup formation. One could argue this is the handle here, or maybe right there at 2220 level mark. And now with strong volume buyers coming in, it's creating the right side of the base with potential breakout if this price action continues. FTNT, again going to the weekly, that's volume, sorry, apologies, there is moving average confluence here. All the short-term moving averages, 50 T-line and the 21 EMA are all confluenced here. Price has been consolidating by moving sideways, and the volume is drying up while the price is consolidating. There's a strong bullish action on last week with nearly 10%, 9.3% up move. It's just sitting at or above the 200-day moving average. So it'll be interesting to see whether that acts as a support once it's broken out of and further volume coming in or not. So currently there's volume drying up on consolidation with the price above the key moving averages, which I feel good about. Google or Alphabet, I've added this here. It's below the 200-day moving average, but above the 50-day moving average. And the short-term moving average, like the T-line, is kind of creeping up above, trying to creep up above the 50 EMA. Among the FANG stocks, I believe Google or the Alphabet is acting the strongest within the larger cap, mega cap companies. So I've included this here. And we also have a bullish engulfing candle on last week. HT, it broke above the 200, just literally a hair 10 above the 200-day moving average, 200-week moving average and the 50-week moving average. And similarly, there's a confluence here with the 200-day moving average that it broke out of as well. So strong price action and the resistance now from the 200-day and 200-week moving average is likely to have now turned into the support. LI Auto. Nice consolidation after having a strong bullish move here. And it's probably forming a 3-week tight price action. You could see the strong volume buyers coming in accumulation over the last many weeks in the stock. So it's on the uptrend and now consolidating. And you could probably draw a descending trend line here. And if it breaks out on good volume, that'll be a strong move to watch for. LNTH. This has been one of the leaders over the last few months ever since it broke out here in February following a really strong earnings reaction. And it had another earnings and it maintained that level for the last few months. It's now trying to resume its uptrend once the moving averages has caught up with it, because it never kind of caught up with the moving average until since this first gap up happened in February. So this could be, if the stock has more to run, this could be a good point to consider entry, and because of the potential kind of stop loss level here, giving us a decent risk reward ratio if this suits your trading style. LW. On the weekly, you could see that it has broken out of this pivot point horizontal line, also coinciding with the 200-week moving average, and thereby getting into the new stage 2 uptrend, as per the Stan Weinstein stage analysis, in my view. Monster beverages, very close to all-time high. The green line here, just under the $100 mark. Strong accumulation volume. And the price action has also kind of showing up using the 200-week moving average as support when pulled back. And on the daily, you could see it as once it broke out of the confluence of moving averages here, it's been going up and up every day. Now the 50 is also about 200 moving average on the daily, so we have a golden cross as well. So it'll be interesting to see how it acts at the all-time high price, whether that acts as a support, or whether it breaks out of. But so far, so good in this stock. MOD broke out of 200, came and retested the 200 a few times, and allowed the heat to cool off a little bit so that the moving average caught up. So 250 has caught up here, and currently the 50 is 1 cent above the 200. So technically, we've got a golden cross here, and the price is about the short-term moving averages as well. So the moving average confluence is something that caught my eye here for a potential trade. NBIX. So this stock has been going sideways to down for a very long time, but it seems to have broken out of this kind of descending trend line here that also coincides with the 200-week moving average. And also, if you look at the daily, 50 about 200, and the price is consolidating about the 50-day moving average here. So it might need a little bit more time, but along with the other healthcare sector kind of having some buyers come in, this could probably find some newfound energy to go to the upside. NOC, Northrop Grumman. So this has been testing my patience a little bit here. It is going sideways, nothing wrong with that. If you look at the weekly, it's very close to all-time high price, but it has shook me out a couple of times when it had some strong volume sell days here. So I'm watching for this stock to see how it acts at or after the breakout level right now, but it's now very close to the breaking out point. Ollie's bargain on the weekly, it's showing good relative strength for the last month and a half or so. High volume accumulation happening. The price is below the 200-week moving average, but on the daily, it's one of the strongest charts I could see in the last 2 months. PFGC. Nice tight price action at 200 level mark, 200-day moving average level on the daily. On the weekly, it's just about the 50-week moving average, and the shorter-term moving average confluence is also there. So encourage, this is a beautiful kind of tight consolidation here. Might give us a good risk-reward ratio if you're interested in playing this name. SWAV, the price is just at the descending trend line level, and if it'll be interesting if it could break out of it on stronger volume. The volume accumulation is happening ever since this company has joined the S&P 400 index in the last 2 or 3 weeks. So that's why there's volume coming in, where the ETFs and mutual funds following the S&P 400 has to buy into this stock. Viva system, shorter term uptrend below 200, but short-term moving averages are aligned in the right direction to the upside, and the price has now reclaimed the 200-week moving average as well as of last Friday. So it's nonetheless, it's still below the 50-week moving average, but some good relative strength coming in on this name as well. Almost there. So Vici Properties, it has broken out of this horizontal pivot point here. And although the volume hasn't been great over the last few weeks, the price is continually moving up. And the short-term moving average on the weekly is also acting as a support. The 8 EMA on the weekly has provided support over the last few weeks. The volume is drying up, so that is something to watch for, but the price is encouraging. VRTX, another biotech. So it broke out, just literally broke out of this interim pivot point at 293.48, but very close to breaking out of the all-time high price set at $306 mark. So if we zoom out, so the previous all-time high price was set towards the end of 2020, right there. And if you take that, so from that high, it's a huge cup and a handle set up over the last 2+ years or so, right? And now it seems to have broken out of the handle, albeit on low volume. I would like to see maybe a little bit more of a consolidation and strong volume push up about those kind of pivot points and the all-time high price. XENE, Xenon Pharmaceuticals. So on the weekly, it gapped up here around October last year, and then ever since it went sideways. Now there's some strong volume coming up, and the price is pushing up above the shorter term moving averages, acting as a support. So that is what the encouraging action is here. The 50 is acting as support, and the 21 week and 8-week EMA have acted as support, pushing up the price to the upside. So it seems like it's kind of setting up for further up more to come. And the last one in our watch list is Zoetis Zts. On the weekly, it is still not above the 50-week moving average, so it's on the downtrend. But you could also see the MACD, the momentum is kind of turning towards the positive. So we have a MACD crossover, positive crossover. However, on the daily, it is above the key moving averages, 8 above 21 above 50 EMA, albeit it's below the 200-day. So there's a little bit of space between now and the 200-day moving average, but it's showing some good price action here. So there you go. It's a big list, 41 names. Certain names are close to or at all-time high price. And yeah, there you go. Hope it gave you a broader breadth of information about different stocks and sector to focus at. Healthcare seems to dominate the tape here. So that is the primary place to look at. Nevertheless, don't forget the broader market is still in the stage 4 downtrend. So whatever you might decide whether to buy or sell, have that in mind and thread carefully and allow the market to pull you in rather than forcing a trade. Hope that makes sense for you. All right. I see you in our next week's video. Happy learning and successful investing. Bye-bye.